Lucy Letby, serial killer. Why did she kill? Part 8. At the start of September 2016, the Royal College of Paediatrics and Child Health, RCPCH, arrived. Letby was one of the first to be interviewed at the hospital. She hoped that engaging with the review might help her back to a frontline nursing role. At the same time, she was fighting back against the doctors she claimed were falsely blaming her for the deaths. Would this be seen now as a nullification of a threat to control? On September the 7th, she raised a formal grievance against the Trust for victimization and discrimination. She said she felt she had been singled out, moved away from the job that she loved, and the hospital trust had not been honest about doctors' allegations against her. Given that she has been convicted of the murder of the children, the fact that doctors raised legitimate concerns about her conduct means that her raising a formal grievance doesn't fit. Instead, it appears to be the mindset of somebody who perpetually sees themselves as a victim, that sees, in the moment, an individual accusing her of poor conduct and causing the death of babies as unfair, unnecessary, and wrong. Accordingly, were she a narcissist, this behaviour would be interpreted by her through the lens of her narcissism as a threat to control and would result in her suggesting that she's the victim, that she's been discriminated against, that she's been singled out, that she has lost out because she's been moved away from the job that she loved, rather than it being a legitimate action taken against her because she's harmed children. As part of the grievance, investigators looked into Letby's conduct. The formal report found no concerns about her competence, no red flags, according to the documents. On November the 12th, the investigation was completed, and 3 days later, HR and senior nurses discussed Letby's possible return to the neonatal unit, which had not suffered a single mysterious death or collapse since her transfer more than 4 months earlier. 3 days before Christmas 2016, Letby and her parents arrived at the hospital. Note again the involvement of her parents. Not a friend, not a lawyer, but her parents. Now, it is common for people in such situations to take along somebody that they can rely upon for moral support. So that in itself is not unusual. But notice that it's both her parents and that they are there to defend her. Naturally, as her parents, and they would want to defend their daughter. They have a particular view about her. It can be seen from previous activities that they held her in high regard, were very proud of her, and from comments made by other people, evidently fussed over her, smothered her because she was an only child. Yet there appears to have been a failure to recognise that she was her own person, and that this continued into adulthood. Her arrival at the hospital resulted in Chambers, the chief executive, issuing her with a full apology on behalf of the hospital trust and assured her family that the troublesome doctors who had victimised her would be dealt with accordingly. To somebody with emotional empathy, they may well feel justified in wanting that to happen because they've been hurt by what they would see as false accusations. A narcissist or a psychopath would want some kind of revenge to be enacted against those who had raised what the narcissist or psychopath sees as false accusations. The necessity of maintaining control both over the hospital administrators, who it would appear had believed Letby, and also over those who had issued the allegations against her would be paramount. The offering of a full apology demonstrated that the administrators of the hospital trust were under control and provided fuel, and the confirmation and assurance that the troublesome doctors would be dealt with would also create satisfaction. In January 2017, the hospital held an extraordinary board meeting, at which the board, chaired by Sir Duncan Nicol, was updated on the RCPCH review. Nicol was a career hospital administrator, and interestingly, he was head of the NHS at the time of the Beverly Allett, the Angel of Death, scandal. Allett was the serial killer nurse who injected infants with insulin and air bubbles. She was given 13 life sentences in 1993. Copies of the redacted report were handed out at the start and taken in at the end. Harvey said that the report had found the incidents in the ward were down to issues of leadership, escalation, timely intervention, and that it does not highlight any single individual. He said some case reviews were continuing, but were not expected to change that finding. The doctors were not invited to the board, and a victim impact statement from Letby's Grievance, notice again the position of victim, was read out. There was an unsubstantiated explanation that there was a causal link to an individual. Chambers, the chief executive, said, "This is not the case, and the issues were around leadership and timely clinical interventions. As a board, we did nothing wrong," Chambers said, with Harvey adding the trust was close to drawing a line under their investigations. Chambers described the behaviour of the doctors as unprofessional and told Nicol he was seeking an apology from the consultants. By now, Breary and Jairam, along with 5 other clinicians, were being backed into a corner by management. In January, they met Chambers and Harvey and were told, "Things have been said and done that were below the values and standards of the trust." Managers also demanded mediation between Letby and the 2 lead doctors, Breary and Jairam. Harvey told them it would protect them from a referral to the General Medical Council, the doctors' watchdog. Their BMA union rep told them that while there were disturbing similarities to Beverly Allett, they should agree to write Letby an apology letter. In a letter to Letby dated March the 1st, all the paediatricians apologised. "We are sorry for the stress and upset that you have experienced in the last year," they wrote. The provision of such a letter to a narcissist would be demonstrating that they were under control. It would also provide fuel. It would also provide validation to the narcissist that they are the victim, as seen through their narcissist lens, and that those individuals are terrible, treacherous, traitorous perpetrators. To the psychopath, this would provide that control that's required, the flexing of power, the knowledge of, notwithstanding what I've done, look at these weaklings having to apologise to me. It's also interesting to add that when Letby sat with her parents in a meeting with the senior managers at the hospital, where she was waiting for this apology, she had prepared a statement, but she didn't read it out. Her parents did, and the statement was about her being bullied and victimised on the neonatal unit, once again demonstrating a victim mentality and also the way that her parents would take over matters on her behalf. The fact that she was able to secure an apology, the fact that she sought such an apology, and what that may mean, is useful evidence in the continuing determination of what she is. It also brings to the fore more of the fact that she had a victim mentality, that she saw she was the one that was hard done to, notwithstanding the fact that she had been killing babies, that she saw herself as the victim. Given the fact that she has been convicted of killing those children, the fact that she can maintain that she was still a victim in those circumstances shows a particular form of compartmentalization, delusion, and denial of the actuality of what had occurred. It shows that she was most likely seeing the world through a different lens in order to maintain that she was the victim, that she should have an apology, that she should be the one that was apologized to. Of course, there might be some who would think, well, if she didn't do it, it's no surprise that she was seeing herself as the victim. But the fact is she's been convicted, and therefore she was not the victim. The dead children are. This victim mentality provides us with further useful evidence about her mindset and what might she be and in terms of what has driven her to behave in the way that she has. We also get more of this because there are other instances where she sought sympathy, which we're going to examine in part 9. Join me there.